And in that time, he actually went from a struggling salesperson making about $3,000 each month to now hitting 17K months.
And I actually didn't believe making anything above 10K was possible even. I didn't believe. And when I started believing in that, and then I started making the math, I'm like, okay, it's right. If this is going to be my state, if I show up to my calls like this, I actually can do that. I went from like 10 to 17K in like a couple of weeks. I feel like I became a winner in my life, man. It's kind of cringy to say that, but I feel like I became a leader in my life. You're closer than you think. You don't need 2 years to get to making 15 grand a month in sales.
Today, I'm joined by Ahmet. He is a 21-year-old closer who joined the Sales Dojo around 4 or 5 months ago. And in that time, he actually went from a struggling salesperson making about $3,000 each month to now hitting 17K months. So Ahmet, welcome to the channel, brother. Tell me a little bit just about who you are and what you sell for the audience here.
Yeah, for sure, man. So my name is Ahmet. I'm 21. I've been in sales for about like maybe a year now. And right now what I'm selling is a wealth management, tax planning, how to invest type of offer for a bit more of the high net worth individuals. And I've been on this offer like a couple of months. Before this, I was selling lead gen to realtors. Tough.
Yeah.
And then I go to just offer things to the Sales Dojo as well.
Okay, very cool. So tell me a little bit about not necessarily just, I guess, the real estate lead gen offer, but like what was just overall your sales career and your results like before joining the Sales Dojo?
Mm-hmm. So before the Sales Dojo, I was hovering around 2 to 4K per month. I closed a little bit, but I was setting as well. And the quality of my conversations weren't that high. Overall, I was a very, I would say, unqualified salesperson.
Okay. When you say the quality of the conversations wasn't that high, can you expand on that just a little bit?
I wasn't able to, I guess, see the things that I see now back in the day. It was like a blind salesperson. Wasn't able to understand when the prospect meant something, took everything at face value, wasn't able to handle objections really well, wasn't able to put things to identity and get people through like identity shifts. It was like one level higher than customer service sales rep. Those type of people, you know?
Gotcha. Okay. So just kind of surface level, didn't really get into the depths of emotions or dreams or fears or anything like that. Just kind of like, here's the data. Is that right?
Yeah, the pitch,
okay.
Right?
Okay. And then I guess, I mean, it goes to show, I think it's going to be self-evident, but for you, selling that way, making that kind of money in sales, was that what you had kind of originally set as a goal when you got in sales? Was that what you thought the sales was, or did you think that was going to be something different?
Yeah, for me, man, honestly, I got in sales because I learned that I could actually control the income that I could be making. Like I could actually decide how much I wanted to make, depending on how much I wanted to work and stuff like that. So making 2 to 4K per month definitely wasn't where I wanted to be. Okay. And it wasn't fun because I wasn't good at it. Same time, it wasn't fun. So that change from there to here was like actually like big life change for me.
Okay. So wasn't fun. What does that actually mean to you? Because like, I don't know, cooking isn't that fun to me personally.
Yeah, what's not fun is I think when you win, when you make money, regardless of how the conversation went, you still kind of have some fun because in the end you make commission, right? But at the same time, before that, like when you're not good at sales, it feels like you do it for the money. It feels like you have the commission breath. Mm-hmm. And when I realized that like the conversations weren't life-changing for people, the conversations weren't, I dreaded my sales calls. I would like dread my sales calls. Whereas now I have like, let's say 3 calls on my calendar for today. I'm hyped. I'm going to talk to 3 people, might close one of them, maybe 2. Like when I have like my closer was like on 40% now. Beforehand, it wasn't like that at all. Like I would dread my calls, not just because of the amount of money I was making, but also the quality of the conversations were like low. It was a sales, it wasn't a conversation.
Okay. And was there something that happened specifically that made you realize that like you wanted to change something?
In terms of my sales skills, what do you mean by that specifically?
Yeah, I guess, was there something that happened when you were, at that point where you were dreading the sales calls, you really weren't making the amount of money that you wanted to make, and just felt like maybe you didn't, like you weren't living the life that you thought that you would be living when you got into sales? Was there something that happened at that point, either in sales or in your personal life or wherever, that made you realize that maybe that wasn't what you wanted and you wanted to actually change something? You wanted something better for yourself?
Maybe I don't have that like specific moment of like, this is the moment, but there are 2 things. Number one, from your story as well. And I got connected to, I learned about you from like Oscar, who's also someone in the sales Dojo, and he was a closer on my team as well. And number one, I seen that it was possible. Like, I heard about these things, but like I didn't know someone in real life that actually made a lot of money in sales, close over 100 million in total sales. I didn't know. I've seen like Harry Miner and stuff, but I didn't know this was possible.
Sure.
From someone I learned from my life. That was one thing. And number two, I just like, if I'm gonna make 4K in sales, I basically have to find a job, because that's not like enough for you to live much like the life they want to live. Now, I lived in Europe, so like 4K was still fine, but like fine for me. So like, that's possible. Oh shit, like I have to do everything in my power to get as close to that knowledge as possible and absorb it as possible, so I can actually do the same for myself too.
Gotcha. So you were just tired of settling for fine, and you realized that it was possible to do much better than fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So then I guess what was the main reason that you decided to join the sales dojo, outside of, like everybody wants to say, I've seen you make so much money in sales or whatever. Like for you specifically, internally, like what was the main reason that you decided to join the dojo?
Maybe not like an internal reason, man. Like I was a referral to the sales dojo. Oscar was like, dude, just fucking get it. Like, I promise you it's good.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anything about the sales dojo. I didn't know that you were like the owner. I literally just joined, not knowing. I literally just paid and joined. Yeah. And because it was a referral, and I think you also know that, like, and I literally do the same to people now. I think I had like a couple of referrals last month.
Yeah. So were you skeptical at first then? I guess when you join and you're not really sure what it's about?
I wasn't skeptical because of the price point.
Okay.
But my expectation wasn't that too high, though.
Sure.
So I was like, for $150 a month, like, what's going to be there?
Sure. Is that the main difference that you see, I guess, between the dojo and maybe other programs that you've seen that are 5, 10, 15, 20K?
Mm-hmm. I never invested into myself 20K in like one. I had like a couple of programs which were mainly like 5 to 10K range. But my experience, honestly, the biggest difference in the sales dojo, a lot of like training programs have like good communities, some offers, but in the sales dojo, you get literally like really high level offers that hire prioritizing like the sales dojo members. That's how I got on my offer, like your referral to offer. Like I got interviewed, but I don't think there was an interview. They always pre-sold onto hiring. Yeah, I like. So that's a huge thing. Number two, I think the information in the sales dojo is much better than most of the training programs I went through. I don't want to name his name now, but like the actual information inside and like teaching, that was like very important. But for me, the most important thing is none of the training programs I've been in, I would never be able to reach out to the main influencer, the person who actually owns, the sales training community, the platform, on a one-on-one level, hold, ask questions, like to the level where I can ask Christian like personal questions. I'm like, hey man, this is happening in my relationship. What do I fucking do? Like to that level. I never be able to do any of that. Now, maybe if I paid them another 20 grand, I'll be able to get like 8 one-on-one sessions with them, blah, blah. But like to this cost, getting this much attention from this high level people, it's literally the only one in the world that I know of.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest difference, that you actually care. The other sales coaches, they actually care.
Yeah. So it's definitely important. What do you feel like? I know that you mentioned that you felt like the structure and the actual content of the learning inside, you felt like that was at a higher level. What was maybe one specific skill or framework, or even just like a mentality shift that you learned that you feel like has made the biggest difference for you in going from 3 grand a month to 17 grand a month?
Yeah. So for me, man, in the beginning, I was actually selling my own coaching for like productivity and stuff. And because of that, my leads came from my own YouTube channel. So it was like very to lay down sales. So I thought I was good at sales. And then when I was selling leads to real estate agents, I've learned sales is something different. And then my call flow every time was different. I didn't have a set in stone structure of how I would go about the calls. So the biggest shift for me was when I went through the dojo, call framework, and I've actually internalized it, actually learned how it actually works. I started getting really consistent in my sales, consistent in my closes. So my calls started looking a little similar. Whereas in the past, it was incredibly different. So that consistency also brought up the close rate a lot.
Nice. Consistently good is a good thing. Because you can also be consistently bad. Not as good. It's not as good. Okay. And let's see, you mentioned the community as the first thing that you brought up. How do you feel like that's actually had any sort of impact on your growth over that time as well?
When it comes to the community, seeing people like, for example, Joe, Daniel, a lot of people who are closing like big deals. I think Daniel posted like he closed like a 68K deal today, like, and also Piff.
Yeah.
Collected all of it. So like seeing those people actually do those things and actually share their wins, number one, gives you a lot of accountability, man. Because sometimes you'll just literally lying down, you're like, fuck, I need to do some outbound today. I don't have any email calls, but I gotta do some fucking outbound because these guys are closing deals. I don't care. So seeing that and also getting to know those people on like a friend level as well, because I made a lot of friends in the dojo. I can't name any like friends I've made in like the other platforms I was in like other training platforms. I'm gonna make like good friends. So I'm probably gonna move to, for example, Colombia at the end of the year. I'll probably move with a couple of people in the dojo.
Nice.
No, for sure. Someone else in like other training programs. No, probably not.
Dude, it's really cool in the dojo. There's a few people who are like living in the same buildings in different areas around the world, and it makes me smile. It makes me smile. And we're all going to Costa Rica. We'll be in the same building there too. But anyway, okay. Was there any sort of light bulb moment for you when something finally clicked? Like when you're going through the course, you're showing up to the coaching calls, right? You're seeing everybody else's wins. And it's okay if there wasn't, but I'm just curious, was there an actual specific light bulb moment for you when things finally just turned on and you just kind of took off from there? Because I feel like 3 to 17, you went really quickly. Like it wasn't something that happened over the course of the 5 months. It was like one day you were making 3, and then one day maybe you were making like, I don't know, 8 or 10 or something, and then like 17 immediately.
Yeah, I don't know which guest that was. I think it was the guest last month. In one of the conversations, he was like, the only reason why you're not making the commissions that you want is also not because of the skill. It's because you don't feel like you deserve it. And you don't, you right now can actually achieve that. And I actually didn't believe making anything above 10K was possible even. I didn't believe. And when I started believing that, and then I started making the math, I'm like, okay, it's right. If this is going to be my state, if I show up to my calls like this, I actually can do that. I went from like 10 to 17K in like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I remember it was really fast. It was wild, dude. It was amazing to see. I think it's something that a lot of people just forget is whatever you believe is possible is what it is. Like Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. You're 100% true. Talk to me when you were closing 3K a month, you were making 3K a month. Do you remember what your closing rate was?
Around 10% maybe.
Okay. And what's your closing rate now?
The last one was 40.
Okay. Not bad. Not bad. What do you feel like beyond income has actually changed for you? Because it's one thing to 5.6x your income. That's a good bit. But in terms of maybe your confidence or your mindset or even just your lifestyle, like what do you feel like has actually changed for you in the past 5 months?
I feel like I became a winner in my life, man. It's kind of cringy to say that, but I feel like I became a leader in my life where I would take like accountability, started taking accountability for everything in my fitness, in my family, in my relationships. Before that, I was also the person who was like blaming the leads, blaming the sales process, blaming the marketing and stuff like that. So one big shift that happened is I became so much more happier because I realized everything is in my control.
How does that feel to actually say that? Because I don't know if you're anything like me or like other people, but oftentimes I'll just internalize the changes that happen and never actually say it out loud. But then as soon as I do, I feel even better about it. Like, have you actually said that out loud to yourself yet?
Maybe not. This might be the first time.
How's that feel?
It feels good, man, because I worked hard for this. And then I was working hard for a long time, but I wasn't getting the results because I lacked the guidance. So when I got the guidance, it was like the last piece of the puzzle. So then things start clicking. So it feels good to say that.
Yeah, that's amazing, dude. If somebody is watching this and maybe they are feeling the same way that you used to, right? Maybe they're dreading their next sales call. Maybe they lack the confidence or they lack the leadership or they feel like they just need a bit of guidance. And whether or not they're on the fence about joining the sales dojo, like what would you give them as one last piece of advice before we go?
What I would say, man, is looking at my story as well, you're closer than you think. You don't need 2 years to get to making 15 grand a month in sales. You don't need that because I could make easily 20 grand, but I took like the last week off. I went to Barcelona to party. So I could have made even more. You're not that far away. You need a couple of things. Number one, you need maybe a better offer. And those better offers don't hire from, if you DM the influencer, they hire from established sales training platforms, right? Like the Sales Dojo. Yeah. And being in those like groups is really, really important. That's one. Number two, you need a couple of the big bottlenecks in your sales process to be fixed. And you don't know those things because you're not skilled yet. So you need someone else to get those things. You can't decide them yourself.
And I'm trying to fix my Porsche. I have no fucking idea how to do it.
Right? So what I would suggest to those people is you're not that far away. Lock in for a couple of months, get onto a much better offer, get your biggest bottlenecks solved, and get next to people who are living the life that you want to live, or doing already what you want to do. And all of those three things, they're in the dojo for the most affordable price I've ever seen in the sales industry. So just fucking get in. Don't be a bitch.
Don't be a bitch. That'll be the title of the video. Just don't be a bitch. Awesome. Thanks so much, Ahmet. It's pleasure seeing you again. And dude, super proud of you. You 100% deserve it. And anybody who maybe if you're feeling like Ahmet was a little bit before, maybe just join the Sales Dojo. It's all there for you. It's worth a shot. It's free for 7 days. Link in the description. I'll see ya.